get ready, because on this deep dive, we're really going to dig into Wrench in the Plan by Jay Shirts, his first book.
Oh, yeah, I loved this one.
It's intense.
Yeah.
It makes you think about, like, how far would you go, for justice, for revenge, for closure?
Yeah.
All those big ideas.
It really makes you examine, like, what justice even means.
Right.
And how subjective it can be.
And Shirts, man, he doesn't hold back.
No, he does not.
You get right into the head of Ray Winkle. He's this FBI agent. He's seen it all. And then, bam.
And you can tell right away that this case, it's broken him in a way. He's clinging to the edge.
Whiskey and, let's just say questionable choices become his way of coping. Talk about tension.
And that prisoner, John Edmund Pike, there's the other half of this whole chaotic equation.
Pike's every parent's nightmare, right? I mean, he is a straight-up child killer. But even with a character like that, Shirts doesn't let him be some one-dimensional monster. It makes the story so much more real,
It really makes you think about the root of evil. What creates a monster? Is it nature, nurture?
So we've got these big themes already, right? Justice, revenge. But there's also this question of how far is too far? At what cost?
You said it, at what cost? That's what makes this book so gripping. You're constantly asking yourself those kinds of questions.
And we haven't even gotten to the road trip yet.
Yeah, this is just the beginning, folks. Buckle up. Winkle and Pike hit the road, end up in New Orleans, get mixed up with two incredible sex workers, both named Brandy, by the way.
Okay, we got to talk about the Brandys. Brandy with an I and Brandy with a Y. These women are forces of nature.
These total badasses.
They bring this whole other energy to the story. This mix of toughness and dark humor. It's like a breath of fresh air.
Who need that with all the darkness and intensity surrounding Winkle and Pike?
For sure. And Brandy with a Y, she's something else.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like that scene where Lenny, Fontaine's enforcer, has her at gunpoint.
Intense.
And she just like flips the script on him.
Yeah.
Uses his own messed up desires against him. Talk about taking control.
It's brilliant. Shows you just how strong and resourceful she is. She's not afraid of anyone or anything.
Makes you wonder, who are the real prisoners in this whole mess?
Right. Because everyone's trapped in some way.
Exactly. And that's just scratching the surface of Wrench in the Plan. And it's not like the guys are exactly thriving. Winkle's practically drowning himself in bourbon, trying to make the memories go away.
Yeah, it's rough. And Shirts doesn't let you forget about it. Like, every time you think Winkle's found a little bit of peace, he's reaching for the bottle again.
It's like the addiction itself is another character in this whole thing.
Totally. It's not just like, oh, he's got a drinking problem. You really see how the whiskey is eating him up inside, how it's connected to his grief and his guilt over everything that's happened.
Right. It's like back at the beginning, there's that scene in the D.C. bar after Heidi disappears.
Oh, yeah.
Winkle just loses it, slams his badge down, done.
Heartbreaking. This guy, he's devoted his life to the FBI, to justice, and it's like in that moment, it all just crumbles around him.
Yep. And it's kind of wild how you've got Winkle falling apart, and then you've got Mr. Fontaine over here, like this crime lord dropping philosophy left and right.
Oh, Fontaine.
Talk about a mind game.
He's something else. You've got Winkle, ruled by his emotions, and then Fontaine, this ice-cold, calculating mastermind who quotes Nietzsche.
I know. You think he's just another mob boss, and then he hits you with, like, existential dread with a side of beignets.
Right. And that scene with Mrs. Louvie, that just sends chills down my spine.
Oof, yeah. Talk about taking justice into your own hands.
You can't look away, even though you know Fontaine's brand of justice is, well, terrifying. But you get why Mrs. Louvie's drawn to it.
It makes you think about the limits of the law. Like, what happens when the system fails you? Where do you turn then?
Huge questions, and honestly, I don't think there are any easy answers.
Nope, not in this book. And then there's Milver. Seemed like just some plumber dude, blended right in.
Oh, Milver. He's the definition of still waters run deep.
Right. At first you're like, why is this guy even in this story? And then Shirts drops that bombshell.
Dude, I know. That reveal about Milver's past, it's like the whole world tilts.
It changes everything.
Suddenly, this seemingly insignificant guy is holding all the cards.
And that scene where he tells Pike everything.
So creepy.
It's like all the oxygen gets sucked out of the room.
I know. You realize then Milver's been affected by trauma, by the darkness in this world, just like all the other characters.
And you can't help but wonder how many Milvers are out there.
Right. People living seemingly normal lives, carrying these heavy, dark secrets. It's chilling. Shirts really knows how to get under your skin.
It's like they're all headed for this showdown in the bayou.
Oh, yeah. New Orleans is practically its own character in this whole thing. The heat, the humidity, it's like the city itself is closing in on them.
And Winkle, man, he is not holding anything back. And it's scary, because you see how easily someone could get to that place, how grief and anger can twist you up inside.
Absolutely. And the thing is, Shirts doesn't make it easy on you. You want to root for Winkle, you want him to find some kind of peace, but then he does something that just makes you cringe.
Totally. And then there are the Brandies, stuck right in the middle of this whole mess.
But you know what? Even with everything going on, they never lose their spark. Brandy with a Y especially, she's like, okay, you want to play dirty? Two can play that game.
She's incredible. She figures out Lenny's whole deal, the thing he's been hiding, and she uses it against him.
I was on the edge of my seat during that whole scene. Talk about turning the table.
Right. Lenny thinks he's got all the power, but Brandy with a Y, she shows him what real strength looks like.
And it's like she's saying, you're not going to break me. I'm going to decide my own fate.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
But even with all that strength, this is still Shirts we're talking about here. And he's not afraid to show how brutal this world can be.
Yeah, not everyone gets a happy ending in Wrench in the Plan. Shirts make sure you know that actions have consequences, sometimes really, really harsh ones.
And it makes you think about the choices we make, especially when we're hurting. Like, how far is too far? Is there ever a point where the ends justify the means?
Huge questions. And I don't think Shirts necessarily gives us the answers, but he makes us confront those questions in ourselves.
And that's what makes Wrench in the Plan so much more than just another thriller.
Right. It's like, yeah, it's a page turner, but it also gets under your skin and makes you really think about the world and your place in it.
And then there's Milver, right?
Yeah.
He ends up being the key to the whole damn thing. Man, so much to unpack with this book. It stays with you.
For sure. It's got it all. Suspense, action, complex characters, and it really makes you think, what more could you ask for?
Right. So there you have it. If you want a book that'll grab you by the throat and not let go until the very last page, Wrench in the Plan by Jay Shirts is it. Trust us.
Just don't blame us if you need a stiff drink afterward.